Carter.
I hope you can hear me okay. My question,
Order.
Mr. Speaker, is to the Minister of Education. Does she agree with John Key's comment at Waitangi's Titi Marae last year that improving education outcomes for Māori children would help address rising Māori unemployment?
The Honourable Anne Tully.
Mr. Speaker, of course.
The Honourable Chris Carter.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker. Can she explain then to the House how cutting government funding to over 2,000 early childhood centres by some $285 million improves the educational outcome for Māori students?
The Honourable Anne Tully.
First of all, Mr. Speaker, I'd say that this government is investing more in early childhood education than any other government has ever done. $1.4 billion, up now over 10% of the education budget. The second thing I'd say is that under that previous government, of which that member used to be a member, there were a considerable number, particularly of Māori children, who did not access early childhood education. In some areas, up to 20% of Māori children were unable to access early childhood education. This government is putting almost $100 million into early childhood education participation projects aimed at lifting Māori participation.
Colin King.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary question to the Minister of Education. What initiatives has she taken since becoming Minister of Education to improve Māori education outcomes?
The Honourable Anne Tully.
Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that we are taking extremely seriously. It's why we've introduced national standards in Ngā Whanakitanga Rūmaki Māori to pick up struggling kids to help them to read and write and do maths before it's too late. We're introducing the Youth Guarantee to help address the fact that more than half of Māori students are dropping out of school without a worthwhile qualification. We also have a number of Māori-focused initiatives, a long list, Mr. Speaker. I'll keep it as brief as possible. ECE participation projects and extending 20 hours to kohanga reo. $36 million to support schools with national standards in Ngā Whanakitanga Rūmaki Māori. $45 million in this financial year alone on kura developments. Extending te kotahitanga and heikakano, helping to better manage Māori learner engagement and attendance of students, the Parents, Families and Whānau program and the 43 iwi relationships, more te reo teachers. Mr. Speaker, this compares with the Labour government's great initiative to improve Māori learning of the WhatsApp badges. Remember them?
Order.
That was Labour's answer to Māori.
Order. I allowed the Minister to go on quite a while in that answer. I think we've heard sufficient. The Honourable Chris Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, what's up as education has been wrecked.
Order.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker.
Look, I intend to make sure we start this year as we're going to carry on. I've just reminded the Prime Minister that answers are not time for a speech. I listened while she was giving information, but once she went on to attack the opposition in response to a question from her own colleagues, I interrupted her. And I asked the member when I've called him to ask his question, please just ask his question. The Honourable Chris Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is she aware of Ministry of Education statistics that clearly demonstrate increased ECE funding by Labour between 2000 and 2007 led to an increase in participation of Māori preschoolers from 84% to 90.6% and Pacifica from 76.1% to 84%. And doesn't that just prove, Mr. Speaker, that educational success happens when you put in more resources, not cut them?
The Honourable Anne Tully.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, the Labour government did increase funding dramatically. In fact, 3 times. It trebled what was happening, the money that was going to early childhood education. Unfortunately, across the board, the children turning up at school, having had ECE experience, grew by less than 1%. So throwing money at something doesn't get you good results. All it gets is an out-of-control education system.
Point of order, the Honourable
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave to table some statistics prepared by the Ministry of Education showing increased participation through the period that Labor spent extra on ECE funding.
Leavers sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Question number